over it. So this we're practically crying over it. We're practically crying over it. We're practically crying over it. So it was just a guest show. I don't want to get myself in trouble on your show. And did everything he could to, and they praised him for making the effort to try to clarify. But two last things. Number one is they do want to give the moderator the chance to close off the microphones so the candidates can't do it. And number two is they expect both candidates to abide by the rules and to give the other side a chance to be heard.
Hey, Frank, it's Willie. I mean this question sincerely, not rhetorically, but what are undecided voters still waiting to see? I mean, after 4 years of President Trump and watching Joe Biden for 50 years or however long he's been in public life, what are they still looking for when they talk to you?
They're upset about both candidates, and the undecided voters are actually the most negative of any voter. They're more negative than those who want to replace Donald Trump because they think that Trump does not have the persona to be president in the way that they want it, and they're afraid that Joe Biden is too extreme. They don't know where he really stands and what he's really going to do. So they're still undecided out of fear, but a very different fear. For Biden, it's about policy. For Trump, it's about persona, and they haven't made up their minds which is more important, which matters more to them, and which they feel will have a bigger impact on their lives. I will tell you that I believe that Joe Biden, based on my undecided voters, I believe that Joe Biden won that debate. But that does not preclude Trump from coming back unless Trump decides that he's not going to debate at all. If Donald Trump actually made that decision because of changes to the commission debates going forward, that would seal Joe Biden's victory in this presidential race.
How fascinating, Frank, that voters think that Joe Biden is too extreme when you and I have grown up and seen this guy being attacked from the left for 40 years for being too close to credit card companies, too close to corporations, because, of course, he's from Delaware. Supporting too many military actions. We could go down that list, and time and again, it's Joe Biden who's criticized even from his own left, from the Democratic Party, for being too moderate. So this fear, and by the way, I'm hearing that too from all of my Republican friends who are trying to justify voting for Donald Trump. Because, oh, Biden, he's an extremist, he's a leftist, he's a socialist. Where are they getting this information? What is it? Facebook? Is it Fox? Where are they getting the information that this guy is an extremist?
Well, let me add one thing because it's very personal, and I've not talked about this on TV actually until right now. I had a stroke in January, and I had a stroke up in New Hampshire while I was teaching my students. I was actually doing a focus group for the LA Times when this happened. And I was kept in the hospital for a week. Joe Biden was the first politician who I saw afterward. And when he was informed of what happened to me, he broke out of the line of where they shake the hands. He came over to me and gave me the biggest hug, and he didn't let go. And I know how that felt, and it changed. It's like all this weight had left me. Joe Biden is a kind man. He's a decent man. He's been through hell himself on several occasions. And so I don't like the tenor of this campaign. I don't like the ugliness of this campaign. It doesn't have to be this way. Where are they getting the information? They're being fed the information. We don't watch our news to inform us. We watch our news to affirm us. And that's probably the greatest tragedy of the American political process. And our undecided voters feel it every day. Joe, we should ask these candidates to inspire us, not to offend us. And that's the problem in that first debate. We were offended by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well done, Frank Lentz. Thank you very much. Jeremy Peters, if you can stay with us, we're going to get to your new reporting in the next hour.
I want to weigh in on this. A lot of people criticize me because I want to get hands-on pertaining to interviews of various things that has occurred in my life that two or more people can testify in that in which what had actually occurred. And they want to throw up in my face, you want to live in the past, Dennis, you want to live in the past. No, I don't want to live in the past. I want to confirm what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. That way it will validate my testimony. It don't have nothing to do with me actually living in the past. No one can live in the past. I mean, I guess you can supersede in metaphorically trying to live in the past, but in reality, nobody can live in the past, because once the past is the past, then it's considered the past. But the reason why that I want to go back and get the interviews like I do, it's only to use it as a platform of evidence. That here, this is my proof, this is my evidence, this is my testimony that I got not just from myself, but from others too as well, to validate what had occurred in my life during the time that I told you that it occurred. That's the whole purpose for gathering up this type of information. It's not to hurt nobody. It's not to jab nobody. It's not to slap nobody upside the face. It's just to validate that in which what had occurred. And it basically gives me my proper material that I can use as evidence to say, yeah, this person here validated it. Yeah, this person here validated it. Yeah, there was an interview over here. This person here validated it. And it's part of your research, but it's also part of your methodology. That way you can verify what you're talking about on a platform to say, hey, it ain't just my word. It's all these other people's words too as well, to help to validate your story. And in certain ways, I agree with what this individual just got through talking about. Let's listen to him one more time.
And up
in saying what he was saying about
American political
people being
process and
offended,
are undecided
about people being offended, about people being undecided. Listen to his words.
voters feel it every day. Joe, we should ask these candidates to inspire us, not to offend us. And that's the problem in that first debate.
Most everybody was offended in that first debate. They wasn't inspired. You know why they wasn't inspired? Because they was in a mudslinging contest. And a mudslinging contest, in trying to prove that or validate that your point is better than theirs, sometimes can backfire. And that's exactly what it done on both candidates. Now, I'm just going to use this for an example. Trump wanted to bring up that Biden was one of the lowest grade in his class towards graduating. Whenever Trump attacked Biden for that, Biden really just took his head and went down with it, because probably it was the truth. But if Biden was a smart man, he could have come back with Mr. Trump and said, yes, sir, that's what went on in my teenage years. But then as I growed, as I matured, I evolved and I learned, and I took on the capability of learning even more so in my 30s, 40s, 50s, and now even in my 60s and 70s. So, you know, there's a way that you can approach somebody like Donald Trump, but by and large, whenever you're dealing with somebody like him and you have to get on his same level, it makes both of you look bad. Because it's the tactic that Donald Trump was using against his opponent. Once more, the American people are looking for people to inspire us, not to intimidate us. And the first debate, people was offended. I was offended. Almost everybody that I talked to was offended. They said it was disgraceful in watching two grown men get up on a stage like that and try to talk over one another and try to do the things that they was doing, because it was very, very unprofessional. And right now, with everything that's going on with the COVID-19 and all the other problems, I mean, I just heard last night that Disney World was fixing to lay off about 28,000 people. The airline industry is fixing to lay off about 70,000 people just here in America. We are looking at some horrible, horrible things that's coming down the pike in the future because of the coronavirus. And instead of it getting easier, it's probably going to get harder. I know it's going to get harder for a whole lot of people that can't make the rent, that can't pay the electricity, that can't pay money on their medicals, and there's going to be a whole lot of horror stories that's going to come out of this, because people did not want to listen to the messenger, going all the way back 30 plus years ago. Once more, I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound. I'm just trying to validate what happened and having proof of it. Now, if people are offended in the truth, in validating the truth, in how to be able to validate the truth, well, then they're the ones with the problem. It's not the methodology of how that person is validating the truth. It's the people that listen to it and say, oh, I'm offended because you're trying to live in the past. No one's trying to live in the past. The past is the past. The mistakes has done been made. The milk's done been spilt. The milk's done been spilt. As the little farmer used to say. Now we got to move on. But there's a reason for looking at the past. Just like today being the anniversary of what went on in Las Vegas. 50-something people died, or 60-something people, over 500 injured. You know, why do we look at the past? We look at the past to validate. We're in trouble as an Americans pertaining to our gun law issues. That's why we do it, plus out of respect of the people that actually went through what they went through. They deserve to be remembered. Just like the people in 9/11. They deserve to be remembered. Just like the people that died during World War II and World War I. They deserve to be remembered. Just like the people that went through the stuff that they went through during the Civil War and during the Revolutionary War. They deserve to be remembered. Not that we're trying to live in the past, but to validate the past. It validates it. It now turns it into evidence. This is the proof of what had occurred. So don't never let nobody shove it down your throat. Oh, you're trying to live in the past simply because you want to document some of the things that has occurred in your life in the past. Because it's not that you're trying to live in the past. It's just that you want to validate the facts about what occurred in your past. And see, the devil don't like that. Satan and Satan's people don't like for you to keep a scorecard. No. You're keeping a scorecard? You're writing this stuff on a rock? What? You're documenting this stuff? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, you could have the wrong motive in documenting what you're documenting. You could actually be wanting to document what you're documenting to want to hurt people. Or you could have the right motive in documenting what you're documenting so that others in front of you or others in behind you will not make the same mistakes as you did and have to go through the seriousness pertaining to the troubles that you did. That's my case. I'm not trying to bring vengeance upon nobody. What has occurred has occurred. I can't change it. Can't nobody else change it. But what we can do is write it down, remember it, put it in a history type form. That way, it'll validate the story, it'll validate the testimony, and hopefully, maybe, it will prevent somebody from not having to go through that type of seriousness that other individual had to go through the hard way.
We were offended by it.
Yeah.
Well done, Frank Lentz. Thank you very much. Jeremy Peters, if you can stay with us, we're going to get to your new reporting in the next hour. And up next, the president claims he doesn't know who the Proud Boys are.
We got so much more work to do. The job is not done, and we're not satisfied with winning one game. It's that simple.
An avalanche here from 98 after months of isolation from the outside world.
It's been extremely tough. But
afternoon, but those temperatures, man, they're going to be a lot cooler than what we had yesterday.
Dozens have lost their homes, including St. Helena resident Sean Mayer.
I'm just stunned. I never thought of really fire danger here. I just thought
Mayer says his brother also lost his home, as did his 87-year-old father.
What was that conversation like with your father when you called him up?
We both cried, and he said, I can't believe it. You know, there's just great memories of this property that my dad owned. So it's tough.
Meanwhile, Napa's lucrative wine industry now faces an uncertain future. The San Francisco Chronicle lists more than a dozen wineries that have been damaged or destroyed. This is the Fairwinds Estate Winery in Calistoga, which appears to have lost its tasting room, bottling operations, fermentation tanks, and much of its stored wine. And the owner of the Hourglass Winery, less than 2 miles away, says between COVID and the smoke from last month's fires, his business was already hurting even before his property burned.
It starts to have a psychological effect, but, you know, we're an incredibly resilient community.
And firefighters are working 48-hour shifts to put out these flames before the winds pick up later this afternoon. The glass fire stands at just 2% containment. Fire crews have a long day ahead. Anthony?
They sure do, Jonathan. Thank you. Kentucky's Attorney General now has until noon tomorrow to release about 20 hours of secret grand jury recordings in the Breonna Taylor case. Yesterday, a judge approved Daniel Cameron's request for an extension to redact personal information from the audio. Protesters say they are seeking justice for Breonna Taylor after a grand jury's decision last week not to indict any police officers for her death during a botched drug raid in March. One officer was charged with shooting into a neighborhood home and pleaded not guilty. An unnamed grand juror has asked a judge for permission to speak publicly about the case.
All right, ahead, a man is charged in the ambush shooting of 2 Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies that gained national attention. We'll tell you how investigators were able to connect the suspect to that brazen attack. But first, it is 7:17. Time to check your local weather.
Hey, good Thursday morning. It's October 1st. It's going to feel like October around here for the next couple of days, which is not a bad thing. It's a little chilly this morning. Temps ranging from the low 40s to the low 50s, although 39 this morning officially in Mount Vernon. Ends up as a beautiful day, a little bit breezy, a little bit cool. Mostly sunny skies today with a few afternoon clouds. Afternoon highs upper 60s to low 70s.
This isn't just a bandage. It's a badge of honor, of care. Right. House-made, Hidden Valley Ranch.
Wild thing.
Here? Daddy, is that where we're from?
Well, actually, we're from a lot of places. You see, we're from here, and there, and here.
Turn questions you've always had into stories you...
Fine right now in Mount Vernon. It's 45 in Paris and 48 in...
How can we see a message?
Because it has LED underlight.
But it's not just for show. Each car has improvements being made specifically to help a toddler with a disability.
Making it so that she can drive it better because she's having trouble steering the wheel.
Make the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share so we can...
Well, we're going to end the show right now with the Windmill Ministries. thank you for listening. And as we end usually on every session, good luck to all of us, and shalom.